One fateful evening, Jake was wrapping up a long day at the office. He'd stayed late, alone, finishing up some last-minute tasks. Just as he was grabbing his coat, ready to head out, he felt an eerie sensation, like he was being watched. Before he could react, several dark figures appeared out of nowhere, rushing up behind him. He barely had time to turn when rough hands grabbed him, yanking him backward. Jake struggled, twisting to get a look at who they were, but all he could see were masked faces in the shadows. A cloth was thrown over his head, and his arms were wrenched back and tied. Jake tried to shout, to fight, but there were too many of them. They overpowered him easily, shoving him forward as he stumbled. The sound of a van door sliding open sent a chill down his spine. With no warning, they shoved him roughly inside, his body slamming against the cold, hard metal of the van floor. He kicked, trying to push back, but the doors slammed shut, sealing him in darkness. The van roared to life, speeding away as he lay helplessly in the back. They drove for what felt like hours, the only sound the hum of the engine and the occasional whisper between his captors. As time dragged on, Jake's exhaustion overcame him, and his vision blurred until everything faded. When he finally woke, he found himself lying on a freezing floor. His head throbbed, and he struggled to sit up, trying to make sense of his surroundings. He was in a dark, dingy room. The single, flickering bulb hanging above him cast long, haunting shadows on the crumbling walls. The air was thick with a putrid smell, something rotten and decayed, making his stomach churn. Panicked, he pushed himself up and stumbled to the door, gripping the rusty handle and throwing his weight against it. But the door wouldn't budge. No matter how hard he pushed, kicked, or slammed his shoulder against it, it was as if it were reinforced with steel. Breathing hard, he looked around the room, desperate for something he could use to break out. Then he noticed something on the floor in the corner, a worn, dusty file. Curious and out of options, he picked it up, brushing off the grime. As he flipped through its brittle pages, his heart dropped. It was a list of names. Names he recognized. Every single person on that list had worked at his office. He traced his finger down the list, his stomach twisting as he remembered each name. One by one, they had all died: car accidents, sudden illnesses, bizarre incidents. He hadn't thought much of it at the time, chalking it up to awful coincidences. Then he saw it, his own name, written in bold, right at the bottom of the list. It was the last entry. A shiver ran down his spine as he dropped the file, stumbling back. His mind raced, connecting the horrifying realization. Was he next? He ran back to the door, banging his fists against it, shouting, "Let me out! Someone, please!" His voice echoed through the silence, and for a moment, there was only stillness. Then, he heard it, a faint, rhythmic sound of footsteps approaching. Slow, deliberate, each step echoing louder than the last. He froze, his heart pounding as he strained to hear. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. The door creaked open, and his captors stepped in, their masked faces as cold and unfeeling as before. Without a word, they dragged a large, heavy bag into the room, dropping it with a loud thud in front of him. Jake's mind raced, fear clawing at him as he tried to understand what was happening. He looked up at them, his voice trembling. Why are you doing this? What do you want?" But they just laughed, a low, unsettling sound that echoed through the room. Without a single answer, they turned and left, closing the door and locking it once more. Jake's gaze drifted to the bag in front of him. Suddenly, he heard it, a faint scratching sound coming from inside the bag. His heart pounded as he backed away. The scratching grew louder, more frantic, like something was clawing to get out. He moved back until he hit the wall, his eyes fixed on the bag as the fabric started to tear. A pair of skeletal fingers, pale and bony, emerged, ripping through the material with terrifying strength. The bag tore open wider, revealing a creature with hollow, sunken eyes and a gaping mouth full of jagged teeth. Jake felt his breath catch as he watched it pull itself free from the bag, its limbs twisted and unnatural. The creature's head turned slowly, its empty eyes locking onto him with an unsettling hunger. It let out a low, guttural growl, and Jake felt his legs turn to jelly. He scrambled to the door, pounding and screaming, "Please, let me out. Help!" But the door remained solid, his screams swallowed by the thick walls. He glanced back as the creature crawled toward him, its bony fingers scraping the floor, leaving deep scratches in the concrete. In a last, desperate attempt, he slammed his fists against the door, his voice hoarse with terror. "Please! Someone!" But the only response was the creature's raspy breathing as it closed in, its eyes gleaming with malice. The creature lunged, its cold, skeletal fingers digging into his shoulder with a strength that sent pain shooting through his entire body. Jake let out a blood-curdling scream as he felt the creature's jagged teeth close in, its mouth opening wide as it attacked.